Are you looking for faith journal ideas? Well, I've got 3 fun DIY envelopes for your junk journal or scrapbook today, including a hidden envelope, a string-tied journal card, and a patchwork envelope. Plus, don't miss my 2-minute tip for turning 2 junk mail envelopes into a traveler's notebook insert. Here we go, y'all. Well, hello and welcome to Pink Paper Peppermints. I'm Melissa and I'm so glad you're here. We are in week 3 of the My Heart of Thanksgiving journaling event on Instagram, and all the information is in the description below. If you would like to get your starter kit and join us, or even join us after the fact, you certainly can. Just click on that link below. I wanted to introduce you though today to our creative team. They are amazing. They have amazing feeds on Instagram. You really should go and follow them there. And 3 of them have YouTube channels as well, full of tutorials and inspiration and ideas. You really want to go and subscribe to those channels. So today we are doing envelopes, and the first one we're going to do is a hidden envelope, and I'm using my pie page wrap from my Heart of Thanksgiving collection, and I'll link that below. And I want to show you how it works as a page wrap first. You're just gonna, if you want to use it as a page wrap, you're gonna cut it out and it's gonna slip right into your traveler's notebook insert, provided that you haven't already sewn it together. If you've sewn it together, you can cut it in half and use it as a tip-in. Just use some washi tape and tip it into your book. But what we're going to do today is we're going to make a hidden envelope out of it. It's a really easy, fun technique that I want to show you. So the first thing that we want to do is just cut it in half, because we're not going to need those little notches because we're doing something different with it. So that's, you can see that I'm doing that here. I'm just cutting those notches off and making sure that the sides are even. And then I'm going to show you how to make the little fold that we're going to use. So I'm using an 8x8 Traveler's Notebook insert page from my collection, but you could use any 8x8 piece of paper, and really this technique will work with any size paper. So I'm just folding it in half, as you can see here, and then I'm going to take the side and bring it into that fold in the center and turn it around and bring the other side into that fold in the center. And then I'm going to fold those 2 sides back on themselves. So you can see that I'm doing that here. I'm going to fold it back. You just want to pinch it in the center and then push out to the sides. That's going to give you a nice even fold. So I'm doing that same thing on the other side. And now we've got kind of like a little gatefold opening. And we're going to be attaching our pie to the top of this. Yes, we are talking about pie again. If you've been following along, we've been talking about pie a lot. So this is my new tape runner from Scotch, and I'm just still getting used to it, but it is really strong adhesive, and so far I'm really liking it. So what we're going to do is put our pie together on top of these folds, and you just want to overlap it slightly so that it stays closed when you put it in your book. And then we're going to just cut off that excess paper around the edges on both the top and the bottom, and then you will see that you've got a nice place for journaling there, and you could stop right there, but I want to show you how to make this little secret hidden envelope. So you're just going to snip down the sides of those folds, and you're going to fold that top flap down, and then you're going to do the same thing on the bottom and snip up about 1.5 inches or 2 inches and then fold that up on the bottom. And I wanted to cut a little V notch in it, but it kind of came out like a crooked scallop, and then I tried to fix it and it started to get too small, so I just left it. But there is our hidden envelope. And so I'm going to use this little piece of ephemera. This is actually from the 2017 Heart of Thanksgiving collection, and it's something that I came across at an estate sale. A lady had sketched out her Thanksgiving table with the placement of all the dishes, and she had written Jello mold and everything. Is so cool. And I thought I would sketch out my Thanksgiving table this year and put that in my book. So I'm kind of excited to do that. So that's what it's going to look like on our page. And all we're going to do is use our adhesive to glue that envelope down to the page. Now you want to put something thin in that envelope that's able to fold. Because of the size of the pie, it has to be in the center of 2 pages, and so you want to be sure that you can fold it in half. And so I've added my adhesive, folded it in half, and there's our pie with our little hidden envelope in the center. So now we're going to make patchwork envelopes. And basically what I do is I take these junk mail envelopes and I just start attaching ephemera and scraps and pieces on them. But the first thing you want to do is take them apart. And you can use a bone folder, but I like to use a butter knife that has a little bit of a serrated edge because it kind of helps you slice open the envelope without tearing it and ruining it. And so that's what I'm doing here, and just using a butter knife to open up my envelopes. And so what we're going to do is start attaching ephemera, and this is kind of where I go a little bit wrong in the process because I was so excited about my new tape gun that I just started using it to glue everything down and just put a lot of adhesive on it. And I actually did a similar technique to this in another video, and I even told y'all don't put too much adhesive because we're going to sew this and you don't want your needle to get stuck. Well, like I said, I was so excited about my new tape gun that I was just like, this is so awesome. It works so well. And I just put so much adhesive that when I took it over to the sewing machine, it just completely gummed up my needle. It got stuck and I wasn't able to sew it how I really wanted to. I wanted to just sew all over the top of it. That's normally what I do, and it looks really cute, kind of patchworky and like maybe like a crazy quilt. And I really couldn't do that this time because my needle kept getting stuck. I had to get the glue gun out and clean off my needle. It was sort of disastrous. So please listen to me when I say do not put too much adhesive on your pieces for this technique. So here's the second thing that I did wrong was I completely forgot to cut my envelope to size for my pages. So I remembered before I started the second envelope, so I was able to cut that one, but the first one was already done, so I had to fold it in half and then just move my ephemera. I really didn't want to cut that mushroom off because I really like it, and so I just moved it up a little bit and then cut off the excess, and then I'll actually use those scraps on something else. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I don't want you to be scared. I want you to see that you can make mistakes and then just keep going. Try something different. Cut the edge off, fold it over, fix it. Everything can be fixed. So this is the final result. You can see there's some places where I wish I could have sewn it and I couldn't because there was too much adhesive, but I still really like the way it came out. So I wanted to show you one more thing. I had these transparencies left over from our super cool technique that we did last week, and if you missed that, I will link it in the description below. And these are die cuts from Goosekeeper Designs, and I'll link her below as well. And I just cut them out and slipped them in my envelope behind the window, and it created a really pretty extra layer. And I also want to show you how to insert these envelopes in your book. I'm going to do that in just a few minutes. Okay, so now let's talk about making a faux string tie envelope, and we are using a journaling card from my Heart of Thanksgiving journal card collection, and this is a page from my Traveler's Notebook inserts, and I'm just tracing this 3-inch ribbon spool to get a 3-inch circle, and you could use a die cut machine if you have one of those, and we're going to fold that circle in half and cut it in half, and that's going to become the flaps for our envelope. And I'm just going to lay these about a 1/4 inch in on each side of the back of my journal card. I'm attaching it with washi tape, and I'm going to flip it over and fold those flaps over on the front of the card. And now I'm going to use the scrap from those journal cards and punch 1/2-inch circles. And these are going to become the reinforcers for our brad string tie closure. So I'm attaching these little circles with some adhesive, and then I'm going to pick out some sequins to use on top of them, and we're going to attach these sequins with some little miniature brads, and I'll link those in the description below. I'm using a needle piercer tool to poke the holes, but you could just use a sewing needle to poke that hole if you don't have one of those tools. And so now we're going to attach our brads, and you can pick these brads up also at Michael's. I believe the Recollections brand carries them. And so I've poked them through all 3 layers, and then we're going to attach our twine. And basically you're just going to tuck the twine up under the sequin and then wrap it up and over and then under and over in a figure 8 to close your envelope. And so it's not actually an envelope, it's kind of a faux envelope, but if you added flaps on the top and bottom as well, you could make it a real envelope where it would hold something. But what I'm going to do is just decorate my journal card, and I'm using this word art that I gave as a newsletter subscription gift to my subscribers. If you'd like that, you can sign up for the newsletter for free below, and I will mail that out every week this month of November. And so now our string tie journal card envelope is complete, and it's time to show you how to insert those envelopes into your Traveler's Notebook. So I'm using Scotch brand packing tape, and I promise this is not sponsored by Scotch. I just really have learned my lesson on buying the cheap tapes and adhesives. They just aren't worth the hassle to me. So you want to make sure you have a nice thick, it doesn't have to be Scotch brand, but a nice thick packing tape. And you're going to lay this down and take your 2 envelopes and lay them about 1 inch apart on the tape. And then you're going to wrap that tape around your envelopes. And don't worry about covering up some of your design. It's clear packing tape so it won't hurt anything. And you're just going to lay it over and snip off that extra tape. And now it's ready to insert into your book, and you're going to treat it just like a regular insert. You're going to take those envelopes and slip them under the elastic, pull it through, and now you have your two beautiful insert envelope pages. And you could actually create a whole Traveler's Notebook insert with these envelopes like this. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, would you give me a thumbs up or maybe share it with a crafty friend? I would so appreciate that. And next week we are doing tabs, and I have so many great ideas for you. I hope you will join me here next Wednesday, and I will see you then here on Pink Paper Peppermints.